Welcome to our panel session for EduTECH21 on digital transformation. In this session, our panelists will share how the simple framework for digital transformation has been used in a variety of school contexts. They use this to make evidence-based decisions and create a culture of confident and effective technology use. And I'd like to welcome our panelists for today's session.
My name's Matt Robinson. I'm the IT manager of Lowana College, about 2 hours out of Melbourne in sunny Gippsland with the mountains and the rivers and the snow. And I'm also the co-founder with Cameron of COET, and I'm looking forward to speaking on digital transformation today.
My name's EvanBailey. I'm the systems analyst at St Michael's Grammar School. We're a K-12 independent school, and to contrast to Matt, we're in metropolitan St Kilda, right in the hustle and bustle. And St Michael's has been part of COET, or formerly ETCV, for a number of years as a member school.
My name's Blake. I'm the systems manager here at McKinnon Secondary College. Been here for about 12 years. We've led the way with a lot of Google tools, but also a lot of other things as well. And I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of consulting around the country with schools and school groups.
Welcome to you all. So panelists, everything we do in a school these days does touch information technology. It covers administration tools. It covers, I guess, the whole Internet of Things movement that is influencing our schools. What things do you have responsibility for as an ICT manager at Lowana?
Yeah, sure. So I'm part of the executive team here at Lowana College, and my role as the IT and facilities manager of the school is obviously to have build an IT system that supports all the curriculum and also the admin tools and the admin processes of the school. And also though on the facilities side is making sure we have a safe and great area for our kids to run in. So with IT, everything's connected, from the water cooler to the coffee machine to chicken cam that I have in the back farm there. We've also got dairy cow cam. We'll check on our baby calves when they're calving and stuff. So it does everything from cameras to the canteen to cashless payments to FPOS machines. So IT is a breadth of everything, even to the looking at our watering system on our oval. That's an IT thing. I'm no gardener, but it's all connected from the garden to the farm to the admin, to the office, to the server room.
Evan, is that your experience in your school at St Michael's?
Yes, absolutely. IT isn't just about running servers and a few switches and cables and having some labs of computers anymore. Indeed, we don't have any computer labs. It's about providing end user devices and tools to our staff and students to enhance their learning and administration functions they perform. So, you know, the sort of work that the IT department does ranges from the very standard management of servers and infrastructure and internet connections and firewalls, all the way through to being in the classroom with the staff, supporting them in using technology. The past 18 months with the pandemic has really brought to the centre of school operations IT, so that we can continue to involve our community whilst they're not able to be on site.
With ICT underpinning almost all aspects of running a school these days, it's critical that we have access to actionable data that's going to inform our future direction and our improvements. This is what we'd call a framework for digital transformation. Blake, and you of course were the brains behind the confidence framework. You were really the original author of that idea and concept that now we use across our consortium to measure the impact of our work. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what led you to design that tool?
Sure. So the confidence framework is basically around this idea that we need to have a goal. Like if you think about teaching, we all want to try and get good scores for our students, right? That would be the outcome of, especially in the senior years. That's what we celebrate. The confidence framework is a way for us to benchmark and for us to understand how well are we doing with certain technologies. And I think if someone feels confident, if you walk into a classroom and you want to use a projector and you feel like, I'm confident to do that. I know it's going to work. I know that it's there. I know it's easy to use. And I know that if I have problems, I've got support. I think that's what the confidence framework's all about. And so that keyword of confidence, we're trying to sort of use that as a benchmark, as a way to say, well, how confident are you? That perception of confidence. And I think it's important to understand that perception, while it is just a perception, is reality for people. Even if they don't they're not perceived as being confident. They say, well, I'm not that. I don't think I'm that confident. That means they're not confident. So our job then is to make them more comfortable, to give them the skills, to make sure the access is there, to make sure that the experience is world class. So that's that word confidence. So what we do is we break that into 3 pillars, and we say, well, what underpins confidence? If we want to have really confident staff that are capable and can be really, world class in the classroom with technology, what are the 3 things that underpin that? We've defined those in 3 areas. The first one being access. So is it, easy to locate? Do we know where the access to this technology is? Particularly for online services, that can be difficult because we don't know where the link is or the jump-off point. And the safety of it and restrictiveness of it as well. We've got to think about that. The next part is, how reliable things are. We often sort of interchange those. We'll say reliability or experience, but how reliable it is it resilient to failure? Is it updated? Is it fast and responsive? What's that experience like when you get in there? So not only do we have access, but that next part of what's the access like? And then the third part is skills. And so are we providing access to training? Is there awareness of the tech, as well? Like, do we know how we can use it and integrate it into our curriculum or into the learning process, or even just into our productivity process? Often we forget it's not just about learning. We're also providing productivity platforms. So that's about the general office, and that's about people communicating and those things that underpin the learning. And then, of course, you've got support and sort of delivering and trying to focus on autonomy and getting people sort of comfortable to make decisions within those platforms and that technology. Look at how relevant and aligned to your school goals is it? Because, or even not even a school goal, but it might be a classroom goal. Is it relevant? Is it aligned to our goals? Is it actually something we're trying to achieve? And more so now, is it respectful of our privacy? This is a big discussion happening in schools. If it's not relevant, providing that access isn't going to give you a good outcome. People aren't. So I think that's a bit of an overview of the confidence framework and how we use it. And really, it's used as a tool for evaluating technology that's either in your school or that you're anticipating on putting into your school.
Evan, how do you get information about how your school stacks up against those measures, those areas in the framework?
Yes, we've used the confidence framework for a number of years, and the way we evaluate the measures in the framework across the school is by using the COET measuring technology in school survey. And this survey is provided by the consortium to all its member schools. And because the survey is standardised each year, the analyses from each year that COET provides back to its member schools are highly comparable. So as an example, to touch on this concept of availability compared to reliability of technology that Blake earlier explored, in all of our spaces, we know that there's excellent availability of audiovisual teaching aids. However, the reliability is the issue. The results of the survey showed that reliability, whilst the technology was there, the staff didn't feel confident using it because it was not reliable. From that, we then addressed this by implementing more reliable wireless display solutions. And then in the following year's survey, we could look at the same measure to see if there was an improvement, which gives us the knowledge as to whether the solution has addressed the issue or not, and hence was a justified use of school resources.
Blake, I'm wondering, you heard Evan talk about the standardisation of the survey and some very helpful feedback that he received as a local school, but are you noticing anything across schools when you compare survey data?
Sure. So, there's definitely trends that we see of, often most schools, ironically, in most schools, the support is really good. People feel supported by their IT staff. I think most IT teams are doing a good job of that. But often it's the reliability part. I think a lot of people are good at the access part. And that's the first thing we kind of grapple to, especially as IT guys, is getting the thing rolled out and figuring out those nuts and bolts. But then, okay, well, is it actually working as we intended? This report tracks your growth. And I think the most important thing is it doesn't matter where you are at the moment, it matters where you're moving, what the trend is. You get one data point, once you get the next year, you get 2 data points, 3 data points, you start to see a trend. And I think that's important that you can see, are we holding steady? Have things dropped off significantly? That's something that's probably more of a cause for alarm than just the raw result. I know we've all done that survey and we say, like if we take confidence, for example, we survey everyone and say, how confident are you with your using student devices in the classroom, and everyone says, oh, the average was 70%. What does that mean? What does 70% mean? And one of the things we're able to do is benchmark that value of 70% against like schools, so that that actually 70% is really high, or 70%, no, everyone else is at 95%. You've got some work to do.
Would you like to share with us a little bit how you've validated some of these survey results and who you've been working with, just to make sure that we really do have some actionable data that we can respond to?
We work with Melbourne University and Swinburne University to kind of develop out a really scientific approach. And so looking at causality and saying, well, does this data tell us that if we do these things right, we are going to have confidence in the classroom? And thankfully it does. There is a strong correlation between that. Getting your access and your experience and your skills right really heavily correlates between you getting your confidence right, and that's born out of the research. And we actually have some researchers help us figure out how to present that data, how to analyze that data and compare it, and how to sort of group schools and things like that. And that's been really helpful in giving us some authority about, well, actually this is important and we can rely on this data set, and it does tell us meaningful information. It isn't sort of us licking our finger and putting it in the air and saying, well, we've done a survey and this is what it said, so we should go do that.
Where would you start with the framework? Is this a hierarchy? It's depicted as a circle, but I'm wondering, is there any thought behind the order or the sequence of this transformation journey?
Absolutely. So I think the best place to start is at the access point. I mean, you want to have access. So what technology is in your school? Where is it? How do you locate it? How's it been implemented? Those are the things you want to get right first. The next step, like I mentioned before, is that experience or reliability piece, which is looking at what's it like to use once you have it in place. And then finally, that upskilling piece of giving people the information they need and the tools and the skills they need.
Let's perhaps start with access then. At Lowana, Matt, what did you learn about your school's access, and how have you responded to the framework?
Okay, we've been using the framework since day one, and it is the number one tool that I use that underpins my IT strategic planning and also my IT budgeting, so I can actually have some actionable data to my exec team and my business manager as well, and my principal if I want to spend X amount of dollars. 3 years ago, we embarked on a new laptop program for our school with our new principal, and we use this platform in this survey to measure not only the staff, but we made one for the parents and the students on their perception and feeling on using devices and technology in the class. And that gave us that community piece that we wanted to build our strategic plan. From that, then every year on, we've measured those again. And what Blake said, our support is top dog. It's really fantastic from the parents and the students and the staff point of view. We're into our digital strategic transformation strategy right now. This is year one of that. We've got the tools and we've got the tech. Now what? How do we use them? So with that access piece, I asked that question to my staff and my exec team: do we actually have the technology we need to do our job, to give to our students? And then one of the big goals out of that was how do we provide future and current platforms for life after school and during school? So there's those two things you're battling with, from the year 7s coming into the year 12s leaving. How can we provide the access that they need to use through school or to use in the workforce? And then you start thinking about those elements. You're looking at the community element, the technology element, the classroom technology element, the services that we provide as IT guys, and as that cloud technology. So there are kind of 5 elements that rotate in that access piece.
Evan, you spoke before about, I guess, the relationship between access and that next piece, reliability, and the mismatch there around AV. Obviously, as you identified that challenge, you then needed to, as Matt's suggesting, spend some money. So how did the confidence framework help you convince your leadership team at your school that we needed to invest here?
Oh, it's a very, very useful tool for doing that, because it, as Matt said, it gives you the data you need to actually show that you're not just making requests because you feel that it's a good idea based on, a whim, or just non-scientifically gained measures like, the odd chat to staff members and students. It gives you hard data to say, the staff or the school community see there's an issue with the reliability, and that is obviously impacting learning, so needs to be addressed. The most key bit from it is that because you've got the measure from the next year, you can actually go back and say, has the money you've spent had the intended effect? Was it a good decision? So, you know, from the data that you're using in year one to inform the change you're going to make, you've got data to help guide where you need to make change. And then in year two, you've got data to determine if the change you made had the intended effect.
So Blake, at McKinnon, what's your MTIS survey data telling you right now about your digital transformation journey?
Sure. So our most recent data, given that we have that growth, we can see what's shrinking and what's growing. We've seen that the Wi-Fi has been an issue for us, and we have a continuing problem with AV, where people had lack of training. Basically, is what we figured out that was. We were using wireless projection, and the issue actually wasn't with the AV itself. The AV itself was reliable. They weren't familiar with how to use it properly.
Through this confidence framework, we're democratizing the data and the improvement journey. I think that transparency really helps. Have you seen that at your school, Blake?
Absolutely. I think it's about giving people the tools they need, and we actually assemble a survey as well internally around the tools. So we look at each tool, where are you at with it? You self-assess. You know, it's not about us assessing you. It's about you saying, I'm weak in this and I need some help, and we'll provide that help. And it's about supporting people where they're at. And you know, that's the beauty of this survey with the growth as well. You know, we look at that growth of confidence and all those subcategories as well. You know, everything from computer devices to AV to the Wi-Fi. You know, are we getting better or are we getting worse? And digital transformation is about us, you know, not just accessing the technology, but what are we doing with that technology? And I think if you look around, every school has access to very similar sorts of technology. You know, most of it is online. You know, things like G Suite that are free tools available to any school. So it's less about what tools we use. I think it's more about how we use them, where we choose to use them, where we choose not to use them, focusing on things like friction and design. You know, how well designed are these programs? How well do they fit into what the school's needs are? And I think it all comes down to, for us in the IT space, it comes down to execution. The only difference between a good school and a bad school is how well we execute on these decisions. Obviously, the benefits of the consortium is that you're able to share that information in a really safe and confidential manner that can benefit all of us. You know, it's about systemic improvement. I'm passionate about that, not just improvement of myself, but improvement of the whole system. All schools can benefit from it.
I'll ask each of you in turn as we close out this panel, and I thank you for your contributions today and your insights. As members of the consortium, why being a member has been valuable to you and why you might encourage others to be involved and give this digital transformation framework, the COET confidence framework, a go.
The key thing for me is I want to share, I want to help, and the underlying thing is it's all about the kids. I want to give students, regardless of where they are, what school they're doing, the ability to, you know, get that culture of confidence of technology use in the classroom. That's what it's about. And if we can help and I can help, absolutely, I'll do my best to do that.
The two best things the school gets out of being a member of the consortium is, firstly, yes, the confidence framework and principally the associated MTIS survey each year. That is probably one of the most useful things. But the second most useful thing, as Matt touched on, is the access to the other schools, spending some time each term, just being able to have casual conversations with people performing a similar function to me.
Blake, if listeners would like to be involved either with the consortium or get access to the confidence framework, what are the steps they'll need to take?
Sure. So the confidence framework, again, it's all part of membership to COET, and you can sign up at coet.edu.au to get access. And for me, thanks for being part of this panel. I've enjoyed it, and I think, you know, for me, it's all about our consortium in terms of the strength is about the people, and it's through those people that we can do things like build consensus on best practice and really help each other be the best that we can be and find those new and interesting ideas.